All right, took care of the business. Let's actually talk some stuff here. 19 commits currently for the University of Georgia. However, if you've been paying attention, I think that commitment list at some point is going to drop down to 18 with inevitably the loss of Jaden Perlotti up in this commitment class. So there is that. Other than that, we talked about the overview from the class the other night. Tuesday night, we went through the current commits and kind of gave you a rundown of who we thought were wife scouts. Those are football players that are so good, your wife ought to be able to walk up to the field and go, hey, is that the guy that's committed to Georgia? That's a wife scout. There's a couple of those that we talked about last night in terms of potential candidates. We talked about Georgia's kind of in-state NIL takes, right? This idea that maybe they're, taking a little bit more, a few more in-state kids that aren't as, quote, highly rated as others because, proximity to your school is a major factor to the transfer portal as well as NIL. It doesn't cost as much to get an in-state kid as it might as an out-of-state kid because there's travel expenses with mom and dad and everything that's involved to get that out-of-state kid to come play for your university. That's across the board everywhere. Georgia has kind of taken a stance on taking guys like the Roldan kid out of North Oconee, taking guys like Justin Green from last class, taking guys like Malachi Tolliver from last class, taking guys like Zacoby White, right? All of these in-state takes as of recent could have been sparked by Ladd McConkey being a massive hit, but it's also a spark of, hey, really, really good idea to make sure guys love our school and are dying to play here. And a lot of in-state kids are that way. So if you want to check that out, it's over on Tuesday's live stream. I believe that one's titled Lincoln Riley Already Fired. Just skim to about an hour and 10 minutes in and you'll find that one. All right, so here we go. We're going to go to the board and we're going to give you the projections on the rest of the class. We're going to hold it tight at 18 commits. Might be publicly listed as 19. We're going to hold it tight at 18 right now, presuming the loss of Jaden Perlotti right now on our projections. Here we go. Got to unmute the mic.
I think that's the slowest you've ever walked to the board.
Yeah, low energy today. Low energy today.
Ooh.
What's wrong? Call me Sam Pit Boss.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I think it was I think it was a good day. You want me to try again?
No, I'm just making sure you're good, man.
I appreciate you asking, dog.
Do we need to start doing like NBA TNT crew where we race you to the board?
No. Too many wires.
There's not enough space for that.
Too many wires. Not enough space. Mom's basement's huge. Bro. What the hell are you talking about?
This entryway right here, dude.
Oh, okay.
I don't have enough space to get up and turn, and you win every time.
You're not in the race anyway.
I think we have the biggest square foot studio on YouTube. I've seen the 24/7 studio. We're bigger.
Yeah, we got a big studio. I'm just saying in this area right here, it's not conducive.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's do it. 18. That's where we're starting at. Should I use a pen? My calligraphy's a little bit better.
Let's see it. Let's see the writing. He's been practicing.
2025 class projections.
Wow. I can actually read that. Dang.
Bangarang. All right, here we go. We're going to put a dot right here for, I think, the highest rated uncommitted football player that is on Georgia's board, which is Elijah Griffin, defensive tackle out of Savannah Christian. I feel really, really good about where Georgia stands here. Georgia makes it a habit of not missing kids like this. What you giggling about?
McConkey said, oh no, he's writing.
Oh, God. Either way, so here we go. Savannah Christian, I think you're good there. All right. Next defensive tackle that's very, very important. Should we give evals on these kids? My personal evals. Everybody knows they're highly ranked. Yeah. Elijah Griffin, in my opinion, lacks the twitch and fluidity that the next guy I'm going to talk about has. I have the next guy slightly ranked higher than this guy. However, Elijah Griffin's never going to get moved off the football. There's so much power and anchor ability in his run game. I think he's going to be a great college football player, particularly on first and second downs. Is he going to be Jalen Carter? I don't believe so. Georgia's coaching staff and recruiting staff believes that. Okay, their player personnel department, their coaching staff, everybody involved in the decision-making processes at the University of Georgia has seen this guy camp at the University of Georgia since he's about 14 years old, and they've been infatuated with him, knowing and that he's absolutely 100% got to be a take and got to be a land in this 2025 class, I think they ultimately do so. All right, this next guy who I think's elite. I think this next guy has a chance to be every bit, of the projection that people think Elijah Griffin is. Okay, he is out of Manchester High School. His name is Justice Terry. He was already once committed to the University of Georgia. He then flipped his commitment to USC on the same weekend Isaiah Gibson did. He is now decommitted from USC. Alabama, a little bit of a player here as well. You would imagine some of the Florida schools, whether it be Miami or Florida State, get some type of involved in Justice Terry. However, I think he's ultimately going to end up at the University of Georgia. Has had a really, really long relationship with guys like Bo Walker in this class as well. I believe they played rec league football together when they were like 6 years old. So he's very, very comfortable with the commits that are at the University of Georgia already. Very, very comfortable with the coaching staff. Trey Scott, I believe, was his first collegiate offer, if my memory serves me correct. So they've done a great job here with Justice. And even during the commitment process to USC, there was never a foot off the gas moment, right? I believe the quote from Trey Scott was business as usual, right? We're going to attack this as standard operations. We're going to handle this recruitment no different than we would if you were uncommitted or still committed to us. Okay, so I feel good about where Georgia's at with Justice Terry. I also feel good about where they're at with this linebacker out of Eastside High School that is set to commit, okay, July 20th. All right, he is an inside linebacker. I don't know why I'm putting schools, but I'm just going to do it to give these schools credit, and I wanted to show all my nice fancy handwriting out. It's getting progressively worse as this segment continues.
You started strong.
I know. I started strong. I'm fading. I'm a little bit of a front runner in that department. However, Christian Gass, about 6'2 3/4. If you told me 6'3", I wouldn't be surprised. He looks the part. He looks like a Georgia linebacker, okay? And that's very, very, it's almost a required, box to check when it comes to that room. Because, man, if you're not a physical freak, you're going to get swallowed really quickly in that room. You're going to get overwhelmed really, really quickly in that room. So he checks all the physical boxes of a Georgia linebacker. Also, just a tremendous kid. I think this one's down to Tennessee, USC, maybe Kentucky, and Georgia. Okay, so I think it's going to be Georgia on July 20th. That's one to pay attention to. He will ultimately be the second linebacker in the class, along with Zayden Walker. We've already told you we're projecting Jaden Pilati out. Okay, so that would be the second linebacker in the class. And by the way, I don't think you need to take more than two. I think if you take three, someone's getting immediately swallowed in that depth chart. That linebacker room is so damn deep right now. It's ridiculous. What they did last year was absurd. They signed 3 avatars in that class. Chris Jones, Chris Cole, and our boy Justin Williams, who was indeed a wife scout. All right, so on to the next one. We got Rashad Johnson, all right, a safety prospect that is going to decide soon, I would imagine, between Penn State. I'm not putting his high school here because I don't know it. Penn State and Georgia. All right. Now, Penn State just lost out on a football player that committed to South Carolina. I believe he was a wide receiver. So
Cyrus.
Yeah, the Cyrus kid. Lex Cyrus. He plays wide receiver, right?
Yes.
So I don't think this is going to impact, whether or not they have room at safety or whether or not they have a bigger need. However, I would imagine their NIL budget just got slightly impacted by a guy that they thought they might be able to land. So that might impact other recruitments. I don't believe it's going to. I like Rashad Johnson in this class for the University of Georgia as well. Okay, on to the next one. Who we got? We got a couple of offensive linemen in a row. Shout out to Stacy Searles. Got Juan Gaston out of Westlake High School. A massive, massive prospect, not just in terms of physical stature, but also just in terms of need for Georgia. They got to have this kid. I think I said on air the other night, Juan Gaston is the closest thing to an Amarius Mims. Somebody hit me back with Daniel Calhoun. I don't know if y'all recall, I inaccurately, because he's balling right now at Georgia, I faded on Daniel towards the end of his high school career. I didn't say I'm fading him. I meant like I kind of fell less in love with him as his high school career progressed. I felt like he got, not a little, I felt like he got overweight, okay? I felt like the tape got worse. The in-person evaluations got a little bit worse. Little did I know that as soon as he got to Georgia, he was just going to flip a switch and become a freak again. So he's becoming a freak again, and he's going to be great at the University of Georgia at some point. I feel that way about Juan Gaston. I feel like he's going to be a Georgia Bulldog. I feel like when in-state offensive linemen like this exist, Georgia's not missing these. They have a more propensity to lose in-state 5-star quarterbacks than they ever will 5-star tackles. I think history will show that. Have they missed a 5-star tackle?
Not for them, no.
I mean, some people rank Josh Petty a 5-star tackle. He's not even a take at Georgia right now, so there's that. But so there's a couple of examples, but whether or not Georgia wants them is kind of the requirement there. All right, the next guy on the list, Cortez Smith. He is set to commit July 20th. I believe this one's going to be Georgia. When it's coming down to Georgia and South Carolina, come on now. I think it's going to end up being Georgia. All right. He's out of Parkview High School. And I've said this about him in previous shows. I'm going to say it again because I don't know if everyone knows about him. About 6'3.5", 6'4", already carrying probably 310, maybe 315. Has been a lifer at the center position since he started as a true freshman at Parkview. Has never played another snap, I don't believe, at another position. This is him. This is what he does. And Georgia hasn't signed one of these guys since Cedric Van Pran. They signed our guy to Grayson. Scruggs. They signed what's his first name?
Griffin Scroggs?
Griffin Scroggs. Signed Griffin Scroggs out of Grayson. He lasted a whole 12 months before he had to get up out of there. All right, so this is a very, I'm not going to say important. I just think it's important to have a traditional center in your room. All right, and they have Jared Wilson now. If Jared Wilson plays good enough, he might be an NFL draft pick this year. Either way, he's only there for 2 as your starting center. And this whole idea that we'll just teach somebody to snap, or we'll teach somebody to call Mike IDs, or we'll just teach somebody how to play this position. It's like saying you're just going to teach someone to catch. I don't know if that's like play the catcher position. It's a very different role. All right, it requires different things other than just lining up, knowing your responsibility, and playing physically. There's a lot of thinking that goes on, and on top of that, you got to snap and step. It's difficult. If you don't believe me, I think we asked Tate about this during the spring. And he said, snapping's one thing, but Mike IDs and I got all this stuff that's on my plate. It's really hard. He said he had much more respect for what Cedric had done all those years. All right, so Cortez Smith, a very, very important prospect for Georgia. I think they ultimately end up landing him. Damola Adijahun. All right, I'm not even going to attempt to spell the last name. Actually, I am. Adijahun. Will you look that up? Adijahun. Adijahun.
Is that what that is?
That's what that's attempting to be. Kirby, get off my ass, son. But either way, what's the spelling on that?
I believe it's Ajadehun.
Ajadehun?
Ajidahun.
All right, so I had it. I just Adijahun instead of Ajidahun. Either way, Damola, Nigerian, 6'5", gained like 60 pounds over the last calendar year. 86-inch wingspan. Sign me up. Sign me up every time. I think he's about 300 pounds right now. He's going to play at 335. There's no way there's no way this dude's not going to be huge. I got like, what's Buddy from Penn State's name last year? Fashanu?
Oh, yeah.
Fashanu, Nigerian as well, came to football late, was up in the DMV, played with Caleb Williams. Goes to Penn State after playing 4 years of high school football, and next thing you know, he's a first-round draft pick at the tackle position because he's a freak. I think this kid's a freak physically. He's going to have to be coached up to be a freak on the football field. Either way, I like Georgia's chances. I don't know the timeline on this one. I think there's some things that have to get handled on that one. All right, so now that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 football players that I think are, quote unquote, in Georgia's class or will be in Georgia's class, or I am forecasting them into Georgia's class. Now, here's what you have to leave a room for, or leave a spot for. All right, we're going to put wide receiver with a big old question mark. I think they're going to try to take a 5th. They already have 4 committed in the class, right? It's the Roldan kid, it's Thomas Blackshear, it's Talon Taylor, and it's our guy that just recently committed that I'm drawing a blank on from Florida. That's a 3-star.
Tyler Williams.
Should have known the name. Either way, it's those 4 right now. I think they're going to save a spot for a 5th. Now, what does that 5th look like? Is it flipping C.J. Wiley from Florida State? I think Travis Smith is either going to Tennessee or Auburn this weekend. It's not going to be Georgia. That means if you're going to get him, you're going to have to work to flip him as well. Some other names to pay attention to. Derek Meadows out of Bishop Gorman commits this week. We watched his film Tuesday on this channel. I think Georgia's chances there are a little bit greater than most people realize. They would love him to be the 5th addition into this class. Maybe a late addition is possible here as well. Just think of like in-state names like Sam Turner. What happens if Sam Turner has like a 1,500-yard season this year at Southwest DeKalb? probably going to warrant maybe a potential late offer, or like a late real offer. Hey, we like you. We want you to come here. That's a potential. I don't see that to be the case. I also still believe, based off what we learned last night or Tuesday night during the show, I still think they're in the market and their board's not finalized. I think there might be some new additions on there in terms of guys that they might pursue moving forward. Dylan Robinson, we watched the other night, might be one of those names. I'm not going to say that to pay attention to, but it's a prime example of a guy that maybe they weren't necessarily aware of, and they find out, oh my God, this guy's really, really good. We got an opportunity. He would be a great addition, especially for the 5th wide receiver in our class. Maybe we go after a football player like that. So that is something to pay attention to as well. A couple of questions here that I want to go around the room. Take one more good look at this right here. Elijah Griffin, Justice Terry, Christian Gass, Rashad Johnson, Juan Gaston, Cortez Smith, Damola Ajidahun. All right, so that would put you, if we're down to 18, right, with Jaden Pilati, that's 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and a 26 spot for a potential wide receiver that I've been led to believe that they want to take, essentially. Because, guys, you're sitting here probably wondering, why would Georgia take 5 wide receivers? Why do they need to take that many guys? Well, you have to look at it this way. There's an opportunity that Dylan Bell goes to the NFL this year. There's certainly a guaranteed opportunity that guys like Dominic Lovett are off to the NFL. Guys like Ra Thomas might be off to the NFL. Colby Young will be NFL draft eligible this year. You're going to lose a lot of bodies in that room, so you're going to have to add some to it as well. Nick Brooks is a question from the chat right there. Nick Brooks, I don't feel confident in putting him a firm prediction in there. However, I coin flip that one. I would straight up coin flip that one right now based off everything I have been told.